Hello everybody and welcome to another Tuesdays at 2 with Haven. I'm Lydia and I'm going to be talking today about kitchens and baths, specifically when you are listing a space. So if you're a realtor, this is a great thing to talk through with your clients if they're going to be using their own items in their kitchen and bathroom when they list, but it's also something that we keep in mind when we stage kitchens and bathrooms at Haven. So we're going to be talking about what to do and what not to do in these spaces. There's a few things that people just kind of don't really think about that can be kind of automatic turnoffs for potential buyers. So we definitely want to address those, and we'll show you some of the tips and tricks that we use when we stage these spaces. Okay, so in general, for both kitchens and bathrooms, you want to make sure that you clear clutter. This kind of goes with every room of the house when you are listing, but is especially important in these spaces, especially just since kitchens and bathrooms tend to be regarded as kind of the messy areas of a home. So by clearing away the clutter and making sure everything is clean, you automatically send a positive sort of vibe with the space rather than walking into something dirty and gross. You want to definitely hide things away in both of these spaces as well. So in kitchens, you want to store away things like countertop appliances, fridge magnets, any sort of personal photos, and any sort of really highly personal decor, just trying to get it as clear as possible. You also want to avoid any sort of decor that is really specific to your own personal style. This can be kind of subjective, but if you think about it, so as an example, I have a kitchen towel in my house that has like cats all over it. And to me, you know, it's fun, it's cute, I don't have it all the time, but to a potential buyer, that might be kind of an automatic turnoff and really just sends a message that this is your home rather than potentially theirs. So you want to get rid of anything that's really personal to you instead of being just decorative for anybody that would like. In a bathroom, same sort of thing. You want to get rid of all of the personal items. You can leave out things like jars of cotton balls and stuff like that, but you don't really want to see exactly which brand of shampoo you use, your dirty towel that you used or you got out of the shower that morning, stuff like that. So definitely keeping all of that stuff out of the space to keep it clutter-free, clean, and inviting. Think about it kind of like when you walk into a hotel. Whatever they have in the bathroom is for you specifically to use. So you're trying to get your buyer to imagine themselves using this space. In terms of what you do want to have out then, think again about you're trying to help the buyer imagine them living in the space. So things that are great to have in kitchens are, you know, containers that have cooking utensils in them, maybe storage containers. You can have some cookbooks and a cutting board, things that just are visually appealing but also kind of help somebody imagine how they would use the space. Obviously, you also want to make sure that you're strategically placing these items in front of things like outlets and light switches. Obviously, when you're in that space, you definitely want the function of a light switch and outlets, but in terms of a visual look, they can be a little distracting. So especially if you're getting your home photographed for your listing photos, it's good to just kind of block a few of those out just so that they don't distract from the rest of the space. Again, you also don't need to put a ton of things out, so we don't want any clutter, so we don't want to overdo the space. So if you have like a kitchen island, for example, if it's really large, it might be good to place one object in the middle of it. But if it's not that big, or if you don't have a lot of other counter space in the room, it might be the best option to just leave everything off of the island. Because besides wanting to make a space where people can imagine themselves using it, you also want it to look as big as possible. And so sometimes the best way to do that is to just not have anything on the island and only a couple things on your countertops. If you have a kitchen that has any open shelving, we definitely recommend that you utilize it while you're listing. So you don't want to overfill it and overdo it, but having just a few things on these open shelves can help give a potential buyer sort of an idea of what they would use that space for. If you don't have anything on the shelves, what can happen is, one, they could just not be noticed, and you definitely want people to notice this type of storage because it is a feature of a home. But the other thing that could happen is if it's empty, it could be noticed, but it could sort of seem as a roadblock instead of something that they really want to utilize in the space. So by just having a few things on there, that gives them an idea of, again, how they could use their own personal items in the space if they lived there, is a positive thing. In a bathroom, again, you don't want to overdo anything, but it's good to have a few items. Especially if you have any sort of towel rings or towel bars, we think that they should be staged with towels. We just recommend that you use clean, white, new, fluffy towels. It just instantly adds a luxe feel to a bathroom, and sort of, again, like that hotel, it just kind of makes you want to hang out. So those are always a good perk. In terms of objects, if you have a double vanity, you can have 2 to 3 items on there. If you have one sink in the bathroom, just 1 or 2 small things are all you really need. Things like soap dispensers, or jars with the cotton balls like we talked about, or even just a little candle or a little plant. Again, good things to have out. Again, too, if your bathroom has any sort of open shelving to it, utilize it with a couple containers or a really small piece of art. Same reason as the kitchen. We want it to be shown as a positive aspect of the bathroom rather than an afterthought. So all in all, kitchen and bathrooms are pretty simple when you're listing. You kind of don't want to overdo them or have too many items in them, but they are things that buyers really look at, and so it's important to make sure that whatever you are having in these spaces aren't automatic turn-offs. So just remember that your 2 main goals are, 1, you want the buyer to be able to imagine themselves living in the space and kind of invite them to do that. And 2, you want to make the space as clean and open and large as possible. So by following these little steps, those are easy peasy. Next week we're going to talk about living room layouts, so please join us for that, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.